called Your Worthy Ideal. A Worthy Ideal is what we call it right here. In the full coaching, we call it Your Worthy Ideal. But this is all about learning what it means to set a goal, relearning that type of stuff. Do you guys remember going to school for goal setting? Not too much, probably, right? Or if you did, we got it by default, and people said set SMART goals, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic. We're going to take all that stuff, we're going to toss it out the window. Those SMART goals, they get accomplished along the way. That's fine. They're going to show up. But you're going to find out that there's no passion behind those things. There's no passion behind doing the things that we already know how to do. So attainable and realistic, we're going to let all that stuff go, because those aren't the places where we're going to draw into the energy that is necessary to do what it is that we want to do. And I want you to look at it from this point of view, is that if you have a desk job, or you have a job that maybe it doesn't require a whole lot of physical exertion. I use this example specifically because at the end of the day, a person can do an 8-hour job and be completely drained because it's something that they can't stand. And so they're working with lower energy at that point. Why are they drained? Because they're stuck in lower energy at that point. And that's the point of what this is. We don't get, how do you put it? We don't get energy. We release energy based on emotion. Now, when you're passionate about something, you hear this over and over again. This happened to me when I got into the fitness field. I kept hearing over and over and over again, I'm the hardest worker. I'm the hardest worker. And that's where I went and I crashed and broke myself against the fitness industry, because I kept saying, well, I have to be the hardest worker. But I was hating everything that I was doing. And so it broke me. But the real truth is that why were they doing the hard work? It's because they were in love with the vision. That's it. When you're in love with something and you're feeling that love and that joy for something, you release energy. You tap into an energy source that is infinite. That's why when we say this is where it really gets deep, like how did that mom pull that car off of her child? That's what you're really capable of, and what you're capable of tapping into is because they just couldn't see it any other way. It was just love, and that's it. And you tap into something that gives you that power, is to say, I can do that 10-hour day, 12-hour day, 14-hour day. But it's not from the point of view that it's grinding. It's because you absolutely love it. It doesn't feel like you did a 14-hour day. What it feels like is that you just moved a step closer towards something that you're absolutely in love with. So what's the point of a goal, by the way? Let's look at that. I did a YouTube video today. It said, are you running from what you don't want in life, or are you running toward what you do want? And understand that there's a difference. And there's a simple way to answer that question. People, oh, I'm going to go back and look at every situation. You don't need to look at every situation. Just answer the question, do you have a goal? If you don't have a goal, chances are you're running from the things that you don't want in life. Life naturally defaults that way. So think about this. If you're running from what it is that you don't want, you're emotionalizing that thing. So you're building it, and it's chasing you a little harder every day. And you're just running from it. The only place that you're succeeding at is just keeping your head above water, just staying ahead a little bit above disaster. What does that feel like? Anxiety, depression, worry, it's a nightmare, right? But the moment you set something in front of you that you really want, you don't need to fight against the things that you don't want. When you set something in front of you that you want, those things fade away. You tap into that energy and you begin to move toward what you want. You move forward passionately. You love life again. There's zest in life. Life is worth living. When you wake up in the morning, you get the opportunity to take those steps to get yourself closer to your goal. And that's the difference between running from what you don't want or running toward what it is that you do want. What is the need for a goal? Why do we need the goal? It's not about getting the thing. And that's what blows people's minds too. And it doesn't mean that you're not going to get the thing. Of course, you're going to get the thing. But it's never about that in the first place. A goal is for you to grow in awareness. I've used the idea of $1 million sitting in the middle of a table and a group of people sitting around it. Like my family members, we weren't raised with money. How do we look at it? You set somebody like Warren Buffett or Bill Gates or somebody, and they've got, millions of dollars coming in every day per hour, how do they look at it? And how does a homeless person look at it? It's still $1 million. It's printed paper. And then we're all 99.999% the same DNA around the table, but each and every one of us is going to look at that differently. And you look at the people who have learned to create money in their life, and they look at it from the point of view that they don't even need it. A homeless person, like I said before, might try to start a fire with it or throw a party for his friends. My mom and dad would probably get a little bit nervous about it because money created that feeling, like I have to protect it. It's scarce. But once you've grown in awareness to the point that you know how you've become the person, like Richard Branson, I don't know, who is it that you like? Jack Canfield, the guy who, wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul. That guy set a goal for himself and he learned how to do that. So I could take all his money away and he could do it again because he's grown in awareness. And that's the point of a goal. A goal is for you to go from where you are now to the place you want to be in awareness, to become the person that does that. It doesn't matter about the material stuff. The point is that you became that. You learn to create a business. You learn to create the healthy body and life that you want. I can take that stuff away from you, but you've already become the person. You can recreate it right away. That's always the point. Goals are for growing, not for getting. But the getting is fun. Life has purpose again. It's not just to get through the day. If you don't have a goal, you're usually trying to make it through the day and just get through the day. And when I get through the day, I get to relax a little bit at the end of the day, but I'm worried about my day. And then I just ultimately want to get to the weekend and I'm hustling my way all the way to the weekend. The weekend goes by too fast and I was worried about work and not wanting to go back on Monday. And then I'm hurrying through the week again. And without stopping and saying, what am I hurrying my way to? I'm hurrying my way through my life. In the end, we all go to the same place. We have to give this body back. Why would we want to be hurrying our way through it? Why would we not want to put something in front of us that we absolutely are in love with and enjoy every moment along the way? That's the point of a goal. So I want you to know this as you set this goal. I'm going to ask you to do some things. And you really have to expand and get beyond programming that's been handed to us. If you know how to do it, if you really wanted something and you knew how to do it, I mean, why wouldn't you be doing it right now? That's a kind of an obvious question, right? So if you know how to do it, it's the wrong goal. And I want you to set the how aside. You are not going to know how if you've set the right goal. Now that sounds a little crazy, right? But the how is going to be created by the way that I show you through M3. The how shows up for you. You receive the how. Inspiration, intuition, that's what's going to take care of that for you. But if you don't do the work and set the goal the right way and live with the goal the right way, it's not going to. So that's the point. If you know how, don't bother with that goal. There's no inspiration in that for you. And there's a big chance that you're going to give up. Why are you going to give up? You don't want it that bad. That's it. Why are you going to do that work? Why are you going to do that long day? Why are you going to do that stuff? I didn't want that much anyway. Done. No big deal. When you really, really want it and it's tied to something that you're in love with, that's the fuel. That's the fuel you need. No growth associated with doing things that you know how to do already. We categorize them, and you can do this when you do some of the work that's at the end of this. I don't even like calling it work. When you put pen to paper and have fun building your life. We can categorize our goals and you can look at them from that point of view. This is a goal. An A goal is like a shopping list. It's something that you already know how to do. So you're not going to go after it. If you're writing down A goals, that's okay. Get them out of the way, but keep moving forward. Now, B goals are something that we think we can do. This is the biggest step that most of the world will take and go try to achieve. If I can get this person to do this, if I can get that, and I can get these funds, I can do this, I can make this happen. But you still got it all the way mapped out. That's still not the goal that we're going for. We're going for our wants, and we call it the C goal. That's our big goal. That's what you really want. It comes from your fantasies. You knew how to do it when you were a little kid. You knew how to dream about what you wanted to be, and we're really just tapping back into that. You use your imagination and you ask yourself some simple questions that I'm going to share with you. So Napoleon Hill said, analysis of several, I got to minimize you guys for a moment. Analysis of several hundred successful people, 500, I would let you know, disclosed the fact that every one of them had the habit of reaching decisions promptly and of changing these decisions slowly when and if they were ever changed. People who fail without exception have the habit of reaching decisions, if at all, very slowly and of changing those decisions quickly and often. Now, when I first heard this, it kind of blew my mind because I thought, successful people, they've got to like painstakingly go over and know how they're going to make the right decision. And then this thing says the complete opposite. It says that without fail, they reach their decisions quickly. The successful people did. And the people that weren't successful, they reached their decisions slowly. And the people that were successful did not change their decisions. They stuck with them. And the people that weren't successful flip-flopped back and forth and back and forth. And then it dawned on me one day. Successful people know what it is they want and they have it defined clearly. When you have what you want defined clearly in front of you, you know immediately if what you're facing matches up with it or not. You know it, you feel it, and you make your decision quickly. It's based on that feeling that you have because you've spent time with your goal. You felt that goal. If you don't know where you're going and what you're doing, how in the heck can you decide if that matches up with you or not? You can't. And all of a sudden, it made sense. Every one of these successful people during that time, Carnegie had Napoleon Hill interview those people and work with the most successful people in the world. He found out that without fail, every one of them did this. They made their decisions quickly. And I want to share with you because decision is such a big deal. I want to share with you what decision really is. Do any of you remember going to decision school? Just like goal school, right? No. So what do? We end up learning how to make decisions based on how those people around us make decisions. And we kind of fall into the category of something we call weighing the odds or weighing the options. I want to see how far I can get. Like if I do this, I can get that. If I do that, I can get that. And I'll make my decision based on what I think that I can get and what's the best case scenario. Let me weigh the options. That's the best that we've got. And I'm going to tell you that that is the worst way to make decisions in your life, especially when it is toward what it is that you want. Now, that kind of blows your mind a little bit, I'll bet. How can it be that way? And he just got done telling me I need to make my decisions quickly if I'm going to be like successful people. Don't weigh the odds, weigh the options. Where am I here? Weighing the options. Well, I want you to think about this. The room that you're in, if I told you to get up and get out of it right now, what are all the different ways that you can get out of that room? Would you say that maybe there's 5 different ways or 10 different ways? Yeah, maybe. We all think of it that way. What if I told you that there was infinite ways that you could get out of that room? And that's your goal. Your goal is just a simple goal. I'm going to get out of the room. But then what if I asked you, well, could you hop on your foot, uh, uh, 1 foot all the way to the door? Yeah. Well, could you hop on your foot backwards? Well, could you do 3 circles and then exit the room? Well, could you walk around the room 3 times and then leave? All of a sudden you realize the way for me to go from where I am now to accomplish a goal just as simple as getting out the door are infinite. And forget about going out the window. We don't even need to add that in. It's infinite. And these lines right now actually represent our the best way I want you to understand frequencies. The frequencies are infinite. That's really the truth of what it is. The frequencies are infinite, and the way for you to do what it is that you want to do is infinite. So, how in the heck could we weigh the options if they're infinite? We're going to be here a long time, right? You see how this default way of learning how to make decisions doesn't serve us. So you're operating on a frequency and you're down here. Yep, there you go. Good job, Matt. Frequencies are infinite and the options are infinite. What you're doing on a day-to-day basis is operating on a frequency. And I mean that from a point of view that you're sending out a feeling and a vibration toward everything in your world that comes from your programming. And you're doing that 96 to 98% of your day. And that puts you right here. That causes you to send out a vibration and you're programmed to receive everything that's in harmony with that vibration. And that's how your life shows up. Now, what it is that you want to do, your goal, you're not doing it. It's not showing up in your life right now. So it's on another frequency. It's on another vibration. When we think that we're going to weigh the options to reach our goal, how do I get to that goal? If I do this, I'll get this. We start to go into the thing where we go, you know what? I will go for the business that I want, or I will go for the health that I want, or the financial status that I want, or the relationship I want when fill in the blank, when the kids get to school, when the kids get out of school, when I get this debt paid off, when I do this, when I do that. What we're saying when we do that is I will go toward my goal when the things I need for my goal will show up. But you're operating down here on this frequency. You're not even going to see those things. You haven't decided to do it regardless. You're saying when the right thing shows up, when everything shows up in my life, then I will do the goal. You see the fault in that thinking? When I get something to do my goal, then I'll make the decision to do it. And we always wind up back down here at square one because the thing never shows up. As far as we're concerned, we're not aware of it. We can't see it. We wouldn't even know it if it showed up. You just don't know. It's not around you. So you don't spend that much time with that goal there. You give up on that goal. That goal begins to fade. It doesn't live inside of you anymore, and you stay stuck. When you make decisions weighing the options of what it is that you can get, this is where you always wind up. And it's this small word that keeps the world stuck. This is why people never go much further. They reach a certain cap and then they just don't want to go any further. They want to play it safe. And if they're going to do anything, oh, I need to make sure. And life never ever shows up that way for them. That is decision and why decision is made quickly. Let me say that correctly. That is decision and why decision is made so quickly for people who are successful. And this is the answer to changing this. Decision comes from the root word decidere. It's Latin something, It means to cut off from. But the best scenario that I can give you is a fork in the road. You know when you come to a fork in the road that you cannot take both forks. And when we decide to weigh the options, like the previous slide says, we're looking forward as far as we can go, and then we're making our decision based on that. But from the Latin word, from the Greek, those base words means to cut off from. And you know what that means. It says, I can't take both paths. When we make a decision, the decision is I'm going down that path. That's it. Think of it this way. Fully committed, you're saying I'm going to the top of the mountain or you're going to see my dead body on the side. That's what decision is. Think of the word decide. It means, like, when we think of side, we think of homicide, pesticide, herbicide, things like that. It actually means to kill or cut off from. You kill the other options. That's the only way that we're going to do that. But once you do that, once you make that decision, it's like a cell phone. When I dial my wife's cell phone, I don't expect any other cell phone to ring except for my wife's cell phone. And that's the same thing that you do with your goal when you say, I'm doing it no matter what. I don't know how to do it. I don't know how it's going to show up for me, but I'm doing it is when you open up the door to all of your answers and your how showing up. And it's a simple switch. You switch from am I doing this to I am doing this. That's how all of your answers show up. Remember, your frequencies are infinite. You're not going to find your way by weighing infinite odds. The only way that you're going to find your way toward what it is that you want to do is to make the decision by saying, I'm doing it, and that's it. And I know it's extreme when I say you'll either see me waving from the top of the mountain or you'll see my dead body on the side. But I want you to understand that you're trading your life right now for the results that you're getting. It's the same. We might as well do it in a direction that we want to do. Decide I'm doing it no matter what, and then get moving forward. So, why do we reject our C goal? Well, it's programming. It's programming that's been handed to us, old programming. Where did it come from? Is it true? Is it not true? Jason mentioned that. He said, this is what I thought, the role of a man was. Well, that's the role of a man is different from culture to culture to culture, when we think about it. Some men are very dominant, I think maybe Japanese society is that way. If I had to guess, I'm not fully schooled on that type of stuff, but there's other cultures that live completely different than that, where the man serves alongside of the woman. And we know that it's very dynamic today. It's becoming very fluid where, sometimes, not just sometimes, a lot of the time you see the women are what we would call the breadwinner. They're the ones that are, earning the financial side of things, and men decide to play what we would call a more motherly or, homemaker role. Life is shifting that way, but those are just based on beliefs. That's programming. Beliefs are programming that gets handed down and handed down and handed down. We just have to ask ourselves if that belief that we're holding or what's been given to us is in harmony with what it is that we want. That's the key. And if the answer is that, oh, well, we just don't go after our, big goals because we don't get them, you have to ask yourself, is that what you want? And I think you would say the answer is no. I asked my brother a significant question about that today. I said, what do you want for your son? What would you want for him to do in that situation? And we were talking about going for what it is that you really want. Well, you want them to believe that they can do it. You want them to go for it. You want them to believe in themselves to go out there in the world and get what it is that they want. Uh, uh, Go after the goals that they want. That's a happy life, is pursuing your dreams and your passion. We're taught as kids that there's no more fantasy. That's just for kids. Kids go out there and the adults, they got to get real and they got to deal with what's going on right now. And I'm not saying you don't have to deal with what's going on right now, but I'm saying that there's different ways to deal with it. And all of that is subject to change when you start tapping into building the life that you want. Your whole world as to what's going on right now starts to change. So we're punished as kids also. My boy is so imaginative, and that's kind of come into a thing. I think it's his greatest gift. He's so imaginative. And at the same time, he's very smart. Everybody always says that. And yet when it's time to move on to the next thing, he's kind of like not paying attention to what's going on. And I got it in an instant. I was like, oh my gosh, that's me. That's exactly what I do. And I think that that's a gift. But in school and in other circumstances in life, we get punished for those things. So we start to have shame for fantasizing and being off in la la land. And I want you to know that I came to the conclusion, and I think it's absolutely the right conclusion is that to let our kids know that you're infinite and don't ever stop with your imagination. Just understand that being infinite, you can build a side of you that also says, hey, I pay attention when I need to pay attention. That's my programming. I'm always listening when I'm supposed to be listening, and I'm always getting my instruction. But don't stop imagining. Your answers will not show up from your thinking mind. They will be received by your thinking mind. I know that might be a stretch for people coming into M3 for the first time and hearing that, but that's exactly how it works. It's intuitive. They show up at the most crazy moments. As long as you're living and feeling your goal, it's like you might hop out of bed the next morning and have an answer and think like, where the heck did that come from? Or you might bump into somebody and they say something and all of a sudden it resonates in a way and you realize that that person or the situation that they're talking about is the answer. You're going to receive the how. You're not going to force and create the how from a point of view that you don't have that programming in you. You must first become that person and feel it. So this is it. This is what I want you to do. I want you to ask yourself this question. This is the biggest questions you're going to ask. And you're going to hear this over and over and over again. Do you want to do this? And I mean really want it. That's what you've got to get in tune with. Not kind of, or this is what I'm supposed to do, or this is what I'm supposed to say. We need to set all that stuff aside. We need to start getting all that stuff out of the way. Do I really want to do it? That's all that matters. That's the only prerequisite necessary for setting this goal, that you really, really want it. And then ask yourself, am I able? We don't have any other sources than science and theology to say what humans are capable of, and they both come to the same conclusion. They don't know what we're capable of, and they land, we are infinite. We can do anything. And that's all that they can come up with. All that smart stuff and all that study, and they come right back to that simple answer. So that answer is yes. And then the second question is, am I willing? Am I willing to do what's necessary to achieve this? Now, that answer, that's when you become emotionally involved in this. If you've picked the right goal for yourself, you're going to find that you're going to get into a funky vibration right there. You're going to get nervous and all. It's okay. Just deal with it. Just let it flow and understand that, because you've picked the right goal, and you, as you currently are, don't know how to do that. It starts to mess with your programming. But you're going to grow into the person that does that, and understand that when you feel that it's exactly, you just picked the right goal for yourself because you really, really want it and you don't know how to do it. And you'll start to get involved in visions and scenarios where, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, just let it go and realize what Matt said. He said the how was not your business, because you'll start to go down this bunny trail of, I got to create the how, I've got to create the how. And by the way, you can keep your goal to yourself. You do not need to go out there and speak it to the world. You can share it all you want here on M3, because that's the culture that we are and the family that we are. We're always lifting each other up and telling each other about that infinite side of each other. But the rest of the world, they don't really know this stuff, and they know you as you have programmed into them as you are. So if you do step out and you go, hey, I'm going to go do this thing, most of the people in your life are going to be like, what? Are you crazy? That's okay. And you don't have to speak about it. And if you do, and somebody comes up and says, what, are you crazy? They just don't understand. They don't understand who it is that they're talking to, the infinite, wonderful being that you are, and the material that you are in possession of here at Mind Move Manifest. And the third thing is just decide to do it. Cut off from all other options. That's it. I'm going forward toward this goal now, and understand that I'm doing it no matter what. That's how I create. That's how I dial the goal. Cell phone number speaking in frequencies, and now my how is going to show up. So how to decide? How to decide on the goal that it is that you want. This is where you've got to take some time for yourself. And I got into that place where I go, I use the word work. I don't know about work, but enjoy, live life and do this stuff. Really enjoy it. So relax and permit your mind to fantasize about what you really want. You can think back to when you're a kid, ask yourself some questions. If you could not fail, what would you do? If every resource was at your disposal, what would you do? What kind of life do you really want to live? Think about in terms of relationships and money and business, and just allow your mind to release. You can look at people who you feel are successful and say, what is it about their life that I like the most? And is it something there that I would like to do? Wherever it comes from, you just look at it. Make your list and let it flow. By the way, once you get in harmony with that and you allow that stuff to start coming out of your hands, it's going to flow. You're going to get a lot of things coming out, and it's fun. That's enjoyable. It's not work. But it comes down to when we decide that we're going to go after 100 different things at once, nothing gets done. You think of it in terms of like a funnel. If you're trying to push something down through a funnel and you're shoving it all at once, nothing goes through. We've got to do one goal at a time. Maybe, I tell people, maybe two. But think about this. When you decide to do your big goal, the person that you're going to become, many of the little things that you were looking to achieve in life will just be getting accomplished along the way. And it's really amazing and fun to look back and be like, oh my gosh, like I do that naturally now. Those things, they're going to happen along the way when you choose your big goal. But when you take too many big goals and you try to shove them in, things get clogged up. Ask yourself, which item on my list do I want the most? Which item would I be most saddened to know that I left this world without accomplishing? You think about, today's your last day in this world. What's the thing? What do you wish that, like, oh man, I know that I was made to do that and I had that inside of me and I was just too busy or I was doing other stuff. What calls to you with that? What excites you? What gets you fired up? What do you love? Don't let people or circumstances decide for you. I want you to think about my cell phone right here. I've actually got an older phone, by the way. If I'd have told you about that cell phone 20 or 25 years ago that, hey man, you're going to carry around a supercomputer in your pocket, it's a stronger computer than the first computer they had in the first shuttle that they sent to the moon. And I could take a picture and I can send it to my friend in New Zealand and it'll be there in a second, like just like that. But we're going to write messages, like in this thing, it's called email and it's on my phone and we can send it. You would have thought I was off my rocker, you know? It's no different for the Wright brothers when they said, hey, we're gonna fly. We're literally going to fly through the air. And we're gonna stay up there. People thought that they were off their rocker. That stuff doesn't matter. Don't let those circumstances decide for you. I want you to know that anything that you can come up with your imagination and your mind can be seen and manifested in the real world. Think in terms of Elon Musk. The only question for him is do I want to go to Mars? Do we want to go to Mars? And the answer was yes. So the decision's been made, and we know that he's going to get us there. We were talking about going to Mars 50 years ago. Again, people would have said you're off your rocker. It doesn't matter. It just keeps moving forward. The imagination grows, and the things show up in this world. Nothing is created or destroyed. Everything you need is here. You only lack the awareness. Where was the way to fly before the Wright brothers discovered it? I love this little quote. Where's it going to come from? And the answer is wherever it is right now. That's the only logical answer you can come to. Some of us work for companies and we say, well, my company pays me. But I'm going to show you that your check actually comes from wherever it is right now. Whatever company you're working for provides a service. And that service gets paid for by people who want that service. So that money is out there in the world. And it's coming from where? Where does it come from? It comes from people who say that they want that service, but the money's circulating out there, and then they decide that they're bringing that to you. Wherever it is right now. Your paycheck doesn't come from the company. It comes through the company, the service that they provide, the good that they're providing in the world. They're attracting it, but it's coming from wherever it is right now. You can't go stranglehold customers and drag them in and force them to give you money. It doesn't work that way. The money is coming from the attractive force that your company is creating through the service that they're providing, which is drawing those dollars in, and then that comes to you. Well, when you decide to go out and do whatever it is that you want to do in your life, you can set up that same attractive force and vibration so that that money, wherever it is right now, is coming to you. Some old programming here. I want you to think about this, is that as we came into this world, we knew how to do this. And there's something about this slide. I must have gotten rid of my stuff so how it moves there. But don't look at the bottom. Whatever you do, don't look at the bottom. At some point in our life, we got taught that failure was bad. And so we began to live right in the middle of success and failure. You didn't want to go out there and take too many risks, because once you started to fail, when you are in the middle of success and failure, that means that you were further from success. Then once you started to succeed, you wanted to play it super safe. You didn't want to take risks, because that meant you were further from failure. But that's a myth that was handed to us. That's not the truth. The truth of the matter is how did you learn to walk? How did you come into this world? The things that you learned. How did you learn your very first rolling over, feeding yourself, speaking? You failed your way all the way there. We learn from our failures. As a matter of fact, we learn more from our failures than we do from our successes. We learn how to take corrective action. I didn't place my foot right. The baby doesn't even have words at that point, and they move, and the next thing is I'm going to place that foot the right way. They're naturally programmed to succeed, but they succeed through the process of failure. So they place their foot wrong and they fall. Next time they place their foot right and they stand up a little longer, and that programming gets built in. The failure gets programmed, it's gone, it gets replaced with a new, this is how I take a step. And that's how that child learns to go from walking to running to jumping and everything else, to the point that where most all of us are, is that I don't even think of what footsteps that I take. I just think I need to go to the next room, or I think I need to go here and there. I automatically do it. That's how we learn. You will fail your way to success, especially when you set the right goal, which is the goal that you don't know how to do. You knew how to do it when you're little and you just forgot. Go back to what you knew when you were little and you came into this world. So write your goal statement out. After this is what I want you to think about. Once you get everything out and you say, this is the goal that I really want, our subconscious, we're going to get deeper into this as we go next week and the following, as we talk about the stick person and those things. Our subconscious does not understand I will be. Your subconscious only is right here and right now. It doesn't know about yesterday. It doesn't know about tomorrow. And yet it's responsible for our programming that moves us through the day 96 to 98% of the time. So when you say I will be, subconscious says, well, man, we're good, because that's not anything to do with right now. So we write our goal statement in the form of, I'm so happy and grateful now that, and then you say your goal. Whatever that goal is for you. And it's your job to get into the feeling of that goal. And we carry our goal statement with us. We carry it with us all the time. And I'm going to tell you why we do that. But I want you to at least read it twice a day out loud. The greatest times to do that is read it out loud to yourself in the morning and feel it. Say it in the now and feel it, and then read it again before bed and feel it. And you're putting an energy into you, and you're putting an energy into that goal card. Feel the joy of your goal accomplished. Think about the things that happen for you now that you've achieved that. What kind of conversations do you get to have? Where do you get to go? What do you get to do? How do you spend time with people? Who are the people that you hang out with? What is life with your family like? Just go through the questions and get in tune with feeling it and feeling it. Think about being that person now, and think about energy. Everything is energy. You are energy. I am energy. Everything is energy. It's hard to get around that because we're taught to look through sight, and I see these things, but they're not what you think that they are. They're actually just molecules that go down to atoms, that go down to just energy vibrating in a certain way so that we experience that. But think about the energy that's put into something. And if you've ever walked in, I like Disneyland. I don't know if you guys do or not, but I do. If you walk into the stuffed animals, I mean, downtown Disney, my goodness, they've got a bunch of them. And you see a stuffed animal that's hanging there, and you go, okay, well, that's interesting. It's really nice and it's new and whatever, you get it. But you think about the way that you feel about stuffed animals, like maybe it's all the same and they're just hanging on a rack, and you've got 20 different or 20 of the same, you can choose one. Those little stuffed animals are like, they're new and they're shiny and they're kind of like whatever. They're kind of like a blank palette. when you think about it, that's waiting for energy. Because when you see a stuffed animal that your child carried for years, or maybe you go back and see a stuffed animal that you carried for years, how do you feel about that stuffed animal? You feel completely different. There's a completely different energy in that because that energy was put into that thing. And that's the same thing with your goal card. As you read it and you feel it and you read it and you feel it, you put that energy into that goal card too. So it gets to a point we say, well, why do I need to carry it with me all day long? Because you don't have to read it. You might be in a situation where you can't pull it out and read it. Somebody's telling you something that maybe you don't want to hear. You can literally stick your hand in your pocket and just feel that goal card, and it will change your vibration. And make no mistake about it, all we're doing is changing vibrations to reach our goal. We're constantly getting into a space where we're like, I'm going to change this vibration consciously, and I'm consciously changing it and consciously changing it until it becomes so much a part of us that it's just our natural vibration. It's our habitual vibration. We're switching one vibration for another vibration. Once you begin to habitually vibrate where your goal is at, that's why you can't stop it from showing up in your life. That's why I said what I said in the very beginning of a worthy ideal. When you set a goal this way and you go after your goal this way, there's no way that that goal can't show up for you in your life. That's the way that it really, really works. This comes from a worthy ideal, comes from the greatest quote of success or about success that I've ever read. It comes from Earl Nightingale, and it's Bob Proctor's old mentor. He created Nightingale Conant, which is the most successful self-help, motivation, inspiration industry. They created the industry, and they have the most successful company within it still today. Earl Nightingale has since passed away, but well, we sell a program called Lead the Field. The new Lead the Field was Earl's um, program that inspired Bob so much too. But in that, he said the greatest success definition that I believe that there ever is: success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. And that goes back to, it's not about holding the thing. We think that we're going to get to a place in this life where everything is just okay, but you weren't created for that. You were an infinite being, and you were created to express more and more of that infinite self. So you're always going to be seeking more. The desire to do more is always going to be there, and you're not going to know how to do it. So you're going to always be in a place where you're just a little bit uncomfortable. And the key is learning to get okay with that uncomfortableness and being happy on the journey. You can't be happy on a journey where you don't have a destination. Success is progressively realizing that you're moving towards something that you want. That's what a worthy ideal is. Every day that you get up and you know that you've taken a step, and it doesn't matter if the world sees it or not, you know it. You've grown, you've had an idea, you've had a thought, you've had a feeling where you've recognized that I've become something more today. You are successful. That is success. You continue on that path, you will get your goal, and you're going to continue to go right past that goal because another goal is going to show up for you. Something else is going to call out to you. You're going to go for it, and you're going to progressively realize that you're getting it and you are successful. Steve Bowe said, God's gift to us is more talent and ability than we'll ever hope to use in our lifetime. And our gift to God is to develop as much of that talent and ability as we can in this lifetime. Napoleon Hill said, no more effort is required to aim high in life, to demand abundance and prosperity than is required to accept misery and poverty. And that one gets a little bit like, whoa, what the heck? We say effort. I said it the other day when I was actually teaching on it, I said energy. And I'm telling you that there is going to be more energy required to go after your goal, especially a goal that you don't know. But the effort comes into play when you're, how much effort is necessary for you to fight against something that you can't stand and that you hate. We see homeless people in the streets, and so many people go, oh, I just want to call them lazy. It's an easy way to say that about them, but they're not lazy because they're working their tail feathers off, dragging shopping carts around and sleeping on hard ground and living in a lot of misery, a lot of pain. It's a lot of effort. And they're not getting a lot done, as the world would say. But energy, is what it comes down to. The reason no more effort is required is because you're tapping into a higher energy. We say, what is God? God is love, the highest form of energy that we know. When you're tapping into that love is when you begin to release that energy. You begin to let that stuff go and flow in a way that the effort, it doesn't require any more effort because you've now tapped into what we know to be the highest energy. No more effort is required to aim high in life, to demand abundance and prosperity than is required to accept the misery and the poverty. So then the question is, why don't we aim for what it is that we want? Think in terms of the acorn. When I first say that the acorn is something that you are too, people go, "What?" Well, we just discussed that right now. The acorn is just energy. But the acorn, as we say, you're God's highest form of creation. You have the ability to decide. The acorn does not, but you are created of the same stuff as the acorn, and you live in this world that follows the same rules. We ask the question, is the oak tree inside of the acorn? And we know that the answer is no, but the acorn falls down into the dirt. And we say, well, okay, well, let's go like a 1 foot radius around the acorn. Is the oak tree, as we see that oak tree, that gets huge, is it right there in the dirt, like in a 1 foot radius? You know that the answer is no. The acorn is of a vibratory way of being. It sends out a vibration that attracts what's necessary to assemble the oak tree. The oak tree is wherever it is right now. The acorn is just the information, the vibration that brings the oak tree together. Whether the oak tree, whatever's necessary, is coming from the air or it's coming from who knows where it's coming from, hundreds of feet away, miles away, the acorn is constantly in a state of attracting to itself the oak tree. And yet it's made of the same thing as you and I, and we feel like we don't operate the same as the acorn, and we do. But being God's highest form of creation, we were given free will. We get to decide what it is that we want to be. And when we allow the world to switch our vibration, well, you should do this. Maybe you can get that. We're becoming an acorn for 1 minute, we're becoming an orange tree for the next minute, we're becoming a weed for the next minute, and we never get anywhere. That's the difference. You are the same and you operate the same as the acorn. But because you've been given the ability of free will, you've been given the gift of free will, we don't hold our vibration on one thing. You get to choose your vibration. By setting this goal and doing what it is that you're going to do as you walk through M3, you're now going to hold your vibration and you cannot stop that thing from coming toward you. You are now becoming like the acorn, except for you decide whether you're going to be an oak tree, whether you're going to be whatever it is that you say that you want to be. You are God's highest form of creation. That's the cool part about it. You get to decide. We're getting to a point now where we're understanding that you guys saw these early man, say, wow, why do I have to set these goals? What do I have to, like, is this the way life, is this what we were made for? Is this what it was? Early man has the cave drawings and we've all seen them. And we say, well, our misunderstanding of that is that this is the first form of written history, but now we're finally reaching the point that that had nothing to do with written history. Early man, our first forms of ourself, was actually doing this because they knew that building the picture was what was going to show up in their life. These drawings were goal cards that were set up on the cave because why? Because they were hungry. They knew that they didn't need to think about being hungry because being hungry wasn't fixing things. They need to think about what success was. They drew pictures that they were hunting because that was success. They drew pictures that they were gathering because that was success. They drew pictures of themselves being together because that was success. Because they knew that that's what was going to be achieved in their life by focusing on that, by shifting their focus from whatever circumstances are going on around them, hungry, cold, don't have anything, to what is prosperity for us. And we're starting to discover that it was not history that they were writing on the walls. They were writing out what it was that they really wanted because they knew by becoming emotionally involved with that, that's how the world worked and that's how it showed up in our life. People spend their whole life running from and avoiding, trying to escape a life they've built, not knowing they could have been building a life they wanted and running toward that instead. Matt Morgan said that. I want to share something with you in the chat. I haven't put it in here. Let's see if I can actually copy it. An article. Nope, I can't copy it. We'll see if I can just pull it up while we're chatting afterward. It's an article that Bob Proctor wrote that takes decision even further and lets you understand just how important decision is in your life, and how it will show you in your life how important it is for you to have a goal, and so that when you're vibrating with that goal regularly, that the decisions and things that you need to make in this life are just going to show up for you. You're going to know exactly what to do. I'll put it in the chat. That is the end of a worthy ideal. Why we set our goals the way that we do, and if we set them in this fashion, that there's no way that they can't show up for us in our life. Next week, we're moving forward two big steps right away in these modules toward what it is that we already know how to do to achieve that goal, why it is that we don't do that. We get into the paradigm, the programming that's holding us back from that, and how to change that so that we can take the things that we already know how to do and start to do them regularly.